And with me today, I am joined by Joy Baker, a transformational coach and subconscious beliefs expert who's helped thousands break free from deep-rooted fear, anxiety, and trauma. With her intuitive gifts and extensive experience in inner child and emotional healing, Joy guides individuals towards self-empowerment through courage and conscious action. Today, we explore what real courage looks like, not just the big moments, but the quiet daily decisions to show up, heal, and reclaim your life. From reprogramming subconscious beliefs to finding strength in vulnerability, Joy shares her insights today on transforming pain into power. Welcome to the show, Joy. Such an honor to have you here on such an exciting topic for me, as well as everyone else, I'm sure.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Anu. Yeah, there's so much to share, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you today.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Joy, tell us about yourself. Where do you reside currently, and what brought you to where you are today?
Well, I'm actually right now. I moved not quite a year ago to Vancouver Island, British Columbia. I grew up in British Columbia, Canada, but I moved to the island, and it's just stunning here. So beautiful here, and the air, the energy is so great here. So I started on the path about 30 years ago. I was actually on the racetrack at the time with race horses. So up until then, I'd spent my whole life with horses. All I knew was horses, and when I was on the track, I was actually introduced. There was a fellow there who he introduced me to the whole personal growth scene. I mean, I had no idea of any of this before. Higher consciousness, spirituality, that was not my thing. It was working with horses and horse people, and that was it. And once I learned about that, I started to learn about the power of the mind, and that just fascinated me. And then I ended up leaving the horses about six, like we mentioned Tony Robbins for a moment before we started here. And about 6 months before I left the horses, I went to the Tony Robbins Fire Walk. It was a 3-day workshop. And I had kind of, touched personal growth for about the past year before that. That was 30 years ago, this spring actually, that I went to the fire walk. And I did not intend on walking on fire. I told a friend of mine about a month before, I'm just going to go and see what it's like. It'll be my first real workshop. Well, I couldn't wait to walk on fire. And when we're walking on fire, there's about 1,500 of us, 4 lines of fire, and we're saying cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. So even though and we actually took us out beforehand to show us the wood burning. So it was, we got to feel the flames and everything else and feel the heat. And but to our mind, we were walking on cool moss. And that's how we were able to walk across the fire. And then afterwards, any embers were sprayed off and such. But that kept me going because I ended up about 6 months after that. I ended up leaving the horses, which had been my whole life up until then. And that kept me going. The power of that workshop and reframing beliefs and such kept me going for really, about a year and a half. It really supported me after that. But I remember just if I hadn't gone to that workshop, I probably wouldn't have kept going. And then I started reading the book, The Celestian Prophecy. And that was when I was really introduced to energy fields and how, when we're talking to somebody, energy fields interact. And for me, I think that was a turning point, learning about energy and that we're all connected. And then I just, dived. And then as my trauma, repressed memories, like I went through about 10 years sexual abuse growing up, which I had completely shut down because I had speech impediment epilepsy growing up as well. Well, epilepsy, it was almost like a partial amnesia. Most of us, we don't remember much about growing up anyways. And every time I had a seizure, I would block out, what was happening in my life. And I feel like looking back, it was probably about the day before, the day of, and the day after. So a lot of my life was, blocked out. And then as I started on the path and went deeper into energy work and such, the repressed memories started to come up. That went on for 8 years. And yeah, that was intense. I think because I just couldn't believe that it happened to me and who it was and the people involved and such. I just couldn't believe it. It took me 4 years to start to believe it. And then, it actually happened and who was behind it. Then there was about a 5 year quiet period where I didn't really have any new memories come up. But then for another 4 years, and this really showed me how the mind will look after us. Because if I had remembered the first go round, what I remember the second time, I wouldn't be here now. As it was, I almost, committed suicide. That was spring 2010. And fortunately, I didn't, and I'm still here. So thank you, God. And after about another 4 years of remembering, and every time, and I think we've all felt like this on the path, when it's like, I just you feel like you're starting to move forward and then something happens. In my case, it was another memory and get knocked down again. And I remember saying to the universe, come on, universe, like how many times do I have to get back up? Like I just didn't know if I could get back up. But I said one day, it was around 2014, probably about a year before I started doing, the healing full time. People learn through pain or pleasure. And so most people learn their life lessons through pain. Finally, when the pain gets bad enough, they will take action. And I said to the universe, you know what, universe, I'm done learning my life lessons through pain. I'm ready to learn my life lessons and move forward through pleasure. And it was around that time. And at the time, it wasn't significant. But looking back, I can see how it's changed the trajectory of my life and things started to pick up. And then, I finally said, okay, it's time to do this full time. And I absolutely committed. And it was September 2015 that I said it's time. September 2016 that I got on my first show and haven't looked back. Here I am now.
Oh, wow.
On my third.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it happened so fast, within like a day. You were already on your journey. I mean, to like just hearing your story, if that's not the universe aligning you to your purpose, then I don't know what is.
Well, it
Beautiful.
was it was September 2015 that I said, "Okay, I'm ready." And then it was about a year later that I got on my first show. So
Okay.
it was during that time. What I did once I committed, when I said, "Okay, I'm ready," and like that, it just felt right. I wanted to do it for 20 years. I actually wrote up my vision and had a few coaching sessions by that time. And I'm like, this is pretty neat. I think I want to do this. So I actually wrote up my vision. First time I'd heard of my vision, having a vision, wrote it out. Just, that's what the speaker said. Okay, I'll write out a vision. So I did it. And included in that was being a coach and, making a difference. But I ended up having to do a whole ton of work on my inner work. And, plus I went through repressed memories and such. And I was so painfully shy for the longest time. So I had to learn how to relate to people and connect to people. So it was a journey. And then once I committed to doing this, I quit my last job. I had a $4,000 paycheck. I had no money in the bank, no savings, no investments. I had no credit cards, going through a bankruptcy. I've gone through two bankruptcies. So, and no clients at that time. I had nobody I could count on. I was single, so nobody I could ask for money, estranged from family. But I had $4,000 and a commitment, and I was ready. And so I said to the universe, well, what am I going to do? Like, I don't have any money and I've got to make it with this. And I thought, well, I could do chair massage. I really wanted to do healing work, and I know so many people, can relate to this. I want to do this, but how can I make it work? And I went, well, healing work is what I want to do, but I'll do chair massage. As soon as I said that and knew that I want to do chair massage, I was talking to a friend of mine, literally just moments later, and she said, oh, I just came back from a chair massage gig. So I asked her about it, and she was working for somebody who would find the contracts and send the practitioners out. So she put us in touch. So that was enough to keep me going. And it wasn't a lot, but it was just enough to keep me going. Plus, I gradually built up my business. And then I was finally, after a year later, finally able to get on my, a show and, get seen and heard. And here I am.
Oh, wow. And
So
so what is a chair massage for people who may not have heard that before?
Oh, okay. Well, I only did that for a year and a half to make enough money to, keep going. But that's where there's a chair specifically made for, people to, not the regular chair, you're leaning forward and people can massage your back and neck and that and shoulders. And so that's what I would do. And sometimes, golf courses, people even, massage therapists will take their chairs out to golf courses and offer, chair massages and that. So it's like a massage, but you're sitting in a chair that's specifically designed for it.
Interesting. Thank you. No, that's great. So coming back to the word courage. I absolutely love the word courage because for me it means so much. What does courage in action mean to you?
Anytime a person takes action towards their dream, and often we think it has to be big, it can be researching something, it could be sending an email, leaving a message for somebody. Doesn't have to be big. All these little actions take courage and they build up to something big. But it's, if you're feeling stuck, often it's that first little, what it does, it moves energy.
Mm,
So even if you research, I really like to do this, and you research it, or you find a website and you contact somebody, you just send an email or a message from their website. What that does, it seems really, really tiny because I remember starting on this path and I'm like, but these actions are too small. Like I got to do something bigger. But they all build up. What it does, it moves to energy. So if you're feeling stuck right now, take some kind of action, even if it's little. And the reason, like I call my website Courage in Action, because when you take, it takes, even if you're not aware of it, unconsciously, you know that as soon as you take action, even if it's tiny, it's going to change everything. And it does. It completely shifts your energy. And that's where the courage comes in, is taking even the tiny actions. So know that even tiny little actions, it's like if you want to get fit and you haven't been walking and you want to, experience better health, just go for a walk, even if it's 5 minutes down the road
mm,
until you build that up. It all, you got to start somewhere. And
mm.
yeah, that takes courage.
Yeah,
Takes courage, absolutely.
it does.
And I
Yeah.
have some very courageous clients.
Wow. Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to hear like a personal moment for you when you had to call on deep courage to move forward.
Pretty much my whole path has been that. But I mean, when I started out, like I said, my whole life starting out was with horses. And all I knew was horses, and I was so painfully shy. I had no intention in getting out there and being seen and heard. In fact, I had a vow of invisibility, which I realized, after I'd been doing this for a while. And I decided after taking the Tony Robbins Firewalk workshop, I was in an 8-year relationship. I was 32 at the time, and I realized that something had to change in a big way. And so I just walked away from my whole life as I knew it. I walked away from the 8-year relationship, the horses, which I'm sure the first word I spoke was horses, but it was just time to move on from that. Still love the horses, but it was just different on the racetrack. And everybody I knew was on the racetrack. Didn't really have any friends because I was so shy, but the people I knew were on the racetrack, and I just walked away from it all and started over again. So I would say at that time, that was 30 years ago. I didn't know what I was, it's actually September 1995 when I walked away from it all. I didn't know what I was getting into.
Mm,
So it took me courage, but I didn't realize how much courage this whole path was going to take me.
okay.
There's been so many things. The biggest thing is just doing this. So much fear, like being just so much. I can't even begin to describe how much fear there has been, doing this, just letting myself be seen and heard. Because growing up and going through what I did, and I'm sure, many people can relate to this, the way to stay safe is to stay quiet and invisible. And
Mm,
that's how you stay safe in the world. So
mm,
letting myself be seen and heard, and I was never considered myself a speaker. And I just doing this has taken me. I mean, I've had nights where just nightmares all night long. I can't do this. The first show I was on, it was 5 o'clock on a Sunday evening when they was live and it was airing. And I remember about 2 o'clock that afternoon just falling to my knees and saying, God, I can't do this. I just can't do this. Don't make me do this. I can't do it. And I remember thinking, I want to pretend I have laryngitis and I can't talk. And I was going to email the co-producer saying,
Wow.
I can't do this. I've got laryngitis. And then when she emailed me back to say, well, can we reset it? I was just going to ignore it. I remember thinking that. And I so wanted to do that. There was so much fear.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And the rest is history. I'm way better now, but even just recently, I was going through a wall of fear because I've been doing a lot of podcasts lately. And finally, I'm more and this is 8.5 years later of doing shows. So for anybody who's got feeling fear or I can't take action because there's fear, take action anyways. That's where the courage comes in. Take action anyways. On the other side of that fear is freedom. On the other side of that fear is abundance. On the other side of that fear is health. On the other side of that fear is inspiring, authentic, heartfelt connections and relationships. On the other side of that fear is the love you're looking for. So take action anyways.
Wow. Yeah, I absolutely love that. And you're right. Fear is the one thing that holds so many people back from moving forward.
It,
And the big one that I see is fear of judgment. They're just so scared of what people will think. If
oh yeah, that's so huge, and it was huge for me as well. It's because when you've lived a whole life, because most people on the path have gone through some kind of, abuse or trauma or something, and that's what gets them on the path,
Mm,
is so you're afraid of, being seen and heard and being judged. Because when you're judged, that means you're not good enough, you're wrong, all that childhood, trauma and wounds and such. But I remember it's actually Dane here of Access Consciousness. And I remember hearing him say in a video, what if every time you took action and allowed others to judge you, or you allowed yourself to be judged, what if $5,000 appeared in your bank account
mm,
just because you were willing to allow yourself to be judged? And that's stepping into the fear. Because when you step into the fear and you allow yourself to be seen and heard, even if it means being judged, that's when you can create. You move through the fear. The fear is, and the fear, know that fear is like a thread that keeps that limiting, restrictive, third dimensional consciousness, connected. We were born into it, our ancestors were born into it. When you feel that feeling, so that's the third dimension. When you're in meditation or you feel really relaxed, you're at ease, and your whole self feels, and you feel safe. That's more fifth dimension and above. That's the thread that holds that together is divine love and anything that aligns with divine love, happiness, joyfulness, gratitude, and such. The fourth dimension is a portal or a tunnel. That's when it connects it to. That's when you're doing your deep inner work. And so, what if it's kind of like a path people can follow. So you're in fear, you're stuck, that fear is right there so that you can see it, but how do I get through it? Well, the mind feels safe. The mind thinks in pictures and it feels safe when it can have a picture. So give your mind the picture of, okay, mind, this is where I am now. The fear is right there. This is where I want to go, that beautiful, uplifting, place where I feel safe, where I can connect with other light beings, when you're in nature or meditation, something like that. So all I need to do is go down this path or this tunnel, and that's where your inner work is. When your mind can understand, oh, there's a picture and there's a process, then right away, see, when the mind has a picture and can understand the process, it feels safe. And so when you know that, like, that's where I want to go, it's like a pilot when they fly, they know where they're starting, they know their destination. So they put the flight plan into the plane, and then the plane literally flies itself. Well, that's what you're doing when you're doing your inner work. One more thing I want to add there is have a vision. What do you want to create in the fifth dimension? So, first of all, how do you want to feel? Happy, uplifted, inspired, creative, enjoying and experiencing authentic, uplifting conversations and connections. What do you want to do? You want to travel? Maybe you want to be in a relationship. So you have some kind of vision that you can also feel into in the fifth dimension. When you're in the third dimension, it's your vision that is pulling you forward. It's like, this is why I'm taking action, even though, despite the fear. This is why I'm going to take action because I want to create something greater. That vision is very supportive and supporting you along your journey and encouraging you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And again, the 3D, 5D, worlds, I absolutely love that. And I remember there was a time in my life which really helped me to understand, the differences between those.
Mhm.
But you do a lot of work on subconscious beliefs as well. So how do our beliefs shape our ability to take courageous action?
Oh, your beliefs will keep you stuck or they can free you. So, yeah, what I'll do is go right into 95% of who we are is our unconscious conditioning. So,
Mm,
by conditioning thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, emotions, patterns, defaults, what you think about yourself, the world, about money, love, career, health, and such, that all starts when you're a child. And so, if you grew up, it's like saving for a rainy day. Money is a big thing. Everybody uses money. And we have a saying here in North America, save for a rainy day. And there's two ways to look at that. And that can be a belief. I have to save for a rainy day, but it's also from a scarcity perspective. So take a look at your beliefs. I did this when I was in counselor training in 99 and 2000. It was a year-long program. I actually wrote out 5 pages of limiting beliefs. And then on the other side of the page, I wrote powerful, empowering beliefs.
mm,
And because I was just, I was about 5, 6 years on the path at that time. And it's the first time I heard of it. So I wrote out. So when you get that out of your mind and you write it down on paper, then it's no longer within you. And when you can look at the disempowering belief, you can look at the empowering belief, that can support you in taking action because your beliefs, they are their energy. Think of them as a web. And so you've got a main belief, a core belief like not enough. Most people have that core belief, not enough or not good enough, never have enough, some version of not enough. And then so you've got that core beliefs and you've got all these supporting beliefs. And then all these beliefs, they create your actions. So go to as deep as you can go to the core belief. When you can collapse that core belief by saying, okay, a core belief is not enough. Another one would be not safe,
mm,
but not good enough. Let's go with not enough. When you can say, you know what, say to yourself, I am enough. I have always been enough. I am enough. I have enough. Yes, I have enough. Many people they won't say that. They resist saying that because then they're afraid they're settled or they say this is good enough. That's different. I have enough and I desire more. So use the and to join that. I have enough. So you have gratitude for what you have. And this is what I desire. And that's where our vision comes in. But your beliefs align with or attached to emotions that creates your reality. So we can have a belief where we're not attached to it or hear a belief and it's like, yeah, whatever. So that does it. It's just, it's just energy out there. It's like a neutral energy. But when you have a belief, I'm not good enough, and then that causes shame, that's when you get attached and that's when you can cause you to get stuck.
mm,
So when you can if you do that, that's actually a really powerful exercise. Write out all the limiting beliefs you can think of, and you come up with some, and then go away and write out more. And as you do that, write the empowering belief, and you can go back any time and look at the empowering belief and say, you know what, and you start saying that to yourself, that supports you in taking action.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, some fantastic tips there for everybody listening. And again, yeah, understanding what's holding you back is the key to be able to move forward. And that's something that I've learned as well from the
Oh,
teachings of
absolutely.
Tony
Yeah.
Robbins. Beautiful. And something else which is really fascinating for me is inner child and emotional healing
Mhm.
work as well, which again, you do a lot of work around. So how does actually reconnecting with the inner child lead to transformation?
Oh, that's where your wisdom is. I never used to actually be a believer in inner child work. In fact, when I was in the counselor training, one of the other students there was doing a presentation on the inner child. And I was so disgusted by the concept because that's where vulnerability is and compassion that I walked out of the room. I wouldn't, and now I'm a huge advocate of inner child. In fact, often when I'm doing my sessions, inner child will show up and I'll have a little, conversation with the child and give them a voice and that.
Yeah.
The child is where, so I talked about the unconscious conditioning, or also called the ego mind. That is where, see, your child has received all that. Your child is the one that is wounded. But your child, at the same time, your child also is a magical divine child. And so you've got two parts to the child. You came in as a magical divine child. Now you learned, 3D concepts and beliefs, and you were wounded and such. So you've got those two parts. So focus on, see, often we go into the wound and we keep looking at that and what's wrong with me and how can I fix it?
Mm,
But also let yourself align with the magical divine child because that is within you and give yourself a voice. Let that child have the child within you. Let them speak. And the most important relationship you ever have is with yourself. When you can really let yourself, speak and without monitoring or censoring yourself, just ask yourself. You can say, okay, little Anu, what would you like to say? What would you like me to know? What would you like me to hear? I'm not going to judge you. Anything you say, even if you swear and curse,
mm,
that's okay. I'm giving you a voice. And just let yourself hear what the child has to say. And in that way, just start having a conversation. And it's amazing when you can connect with a little kid within you in that way, because then you feel really connected and whole and complete. And that's when you can really start grounding in your true self. And then, see, as I've been on this path and I have felt safer with my inner child, or my inner child has felt safer with me. I've noticed that when I'm working with clients, their inner child will often, come into it's just a sense, like I just feel them come in or I hear them say something and we'll have a conversation. And that's happening more and more, where we just have a conversation like with the consciousness of the inner child. And it's so powerful and it's so beautiful.
oh, it's beautiful. Yes, yes, and it is. And I just think it's such a beautiful meditation as well. Whenever I've done the inner child meditation, just really nurturing that inner child that was once maybe traumatized or
Hmm.
hurt in a way. So it's just really developing that compassion again for that for the child in you. Amazing, thank you. So, what advice would you give to someone who feels paralyzed right now by fear?
Mm. First of all, you are way stronger than you realize. You have that divine strength within you. The more fear there is, the more divine strength and power is within you.
Mm,
If you're feeling just paralyzed in fear, first of all, have some kind of a vision. If you weren't paralyzed with fear, if you felt free to create your life, amazing life, how would you be living it? Give yourself permission to dream that. Give yourself, even if it's like, little point, notes or point notes, something like that. Just write something down so you have something greater to think about, to feel into. The fear will still be there, but eventually, as you feel into that and you connect to that, it becomes like a magnet. It magnetizes you to that vision and the vision to you. The fear is still there, but that awakens the courage within you. And the other thing is, take a look at your beliefs and say, if you're feeling just paralyzed in fear, what is the belief? And just trust yourself. Trust is, paramount in this. What is the belief that's keeping you stuck? So you would ask yourself something like, you could say, what is the belief or the emotion that is keeping me stuck? And trust whatever comes up. Even if it doesn't make sense, if it's, I'm not enough, if it's shame, anything like that. And if it's, let's say shame comes up, what's really keeping me paralyzed and stuck right now? Shame comes up. Then everything is consciousness, emotions of consciousness. Just say, oh, shame, there you are. Yeah, I see you, shame. I acknowledge you and I accept you, shame. And as you're ready, shame, I just send you to the light and just send it to the light. Because as your emotions come up, everything's energy, emotions are energy. So it's actually a part of you that wants to be acknowledged and accepted. And often with emotions, shame comes up or feeling bad or guilt or anything like that. And we will get stuck on that. And we'll go, oh my gosh, there's shame. Oh, there's guilt. What am I feeling guilty about? And then the mind will remind you of all the things you're feeling guilty about. When really it's just all you want is to be acknowledged and accepted. So if guilt comes up or shame, just talk to it. Just say, oh, guilt there or anxiety. I do this at night. I don't feel anxiety much anymore and haven't for a while, but at night sometimes I'd go to bed and the anxiety would come up and so I was just saying, you know what, anxiety, I see you. Yeah, I see you there again. I acknowledge you, but it's time for you to be sent to the light. I want to go to bed and have a good night's sleep. So anxiety, we're just going to send you to the light. That's simple. But you can talk to any of your emotions, and that's actually very powerful. Again, it's you wanting to be acknowledged and accepted. And so often we want that externally. We want somebody else to acknowledge us or accept us or value us. But when you can give that to yourself, and once you start giving that to yourself, well, then you start feeling more empowered. But then other people will start acknowledging you and accepting you. So, yeah, just if somebody's stuck in fear, just ask yourself, what fear or emotion could be keeping me stuck right now? Trust whatever comes up. It doesn't matter what the words are, it's the energy. If it's guilt coming up and you call it shame or anxiety, the energy doesn't care. You just name it and then you acknowledge, accept, send it to the light. That's how easy it can be to release emotions. But you do that over and over and over again. And the reason you might be listening to this, but then hesitate to do that is because there's a part of you that knows what we talked about earlier. Once you start moving the energy, then energy starts to flow. So that's where you are. You're listening to it. You're like, interesting, but and you don't do it. It's like an apple. I don't know if you know the saying, an apple a day keeps a dentist away. And so, yeah, in other words, eating healthy, and so if there's a part of you listening to this and you're saying, but I'm too fearful, I'm too scared, um, let's acknowledge that fear within you and acknowledge that right now you're feeling even too scared, too uncertain, too much fear to even ask yourself what you're feeling. Acknowledge that. There you go. Just let yourself feel that and let that be released. There you go. There's a little bit of fun and laughter and happiness. Now, ask yourself, what emotion or belief has been keeping me stuck up until now, or am I stuck in right now? Trust whatever comes up. If it's a word, if it's a phrase, just trust it and then say, I acknowledge you, I accept you, and I release you to the light. That's how easy it can be.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, and that was going to be my next question is, what one practice helps you to stay centered during challenges? And I feel this could be a really great practice for majority of people.
Yeah, that's one. I mean, as far as what I like to do, go in nature. I love nature, and especially being on Vancouver Island, it's so beautiful here. Another thing you can do is it kind of gets the focus of you, and this is really supportive for relationships. If you've got a relationship with yourself, you can do it with your inner child or anybody else, but you need to let go of right or wrong. If you're stuck in I'm right and they're wrong, it won't work. Is just let an angelic light and beauty fill you up, and especially fill up your heart. Put your attention on your heart, being filled up with angelic beauty, source, light, beauty, grace. And now, if there's a person or a group of people where you feel tension with,
Mm.
just send puffs of love, grace, blessings, beauty from your heart to them. That's all you do. You just send puffs of grace and beauty to anybody you're in, agitation or animosity or tension with. Just send it. What you're doing is you're releasing that energy of tension between you and the other person or people. And I have just I've seen, even though I understand how it works, you're releasing the tension and creating the flow of energy. I've just seen and heard miracles over and over again with myself and with clients and such when you release that energy and you allow it to flow, because then the other person feels that and they let go of the tension, they let go of the right and wrong concept. And it's just amazing what can happen in relationships.
Wow.
And you can do that with even trauma from the past. Now, this takes when you're ready. It can take a while, but when you're ready to let go of that trauma, you can do it. You don't have to, I'm not saying you have to do that to your abuser, but you can send it to your child who's been wounded. You can send it to the part of you that is feeling stuck, that beautiful, radiant, angelic heart energy. Anything that you want to release, between you and something else, you want to release attention, that's an exercise you can do that really supports you in being in that heart-centered place and heart-centered connections.
Mm. Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much. Joy, you have so many different techniques to teach and you have so much value to add. So where can my listeners find you and follow your work?
Mm. My website, courageinaction.com. So courageinaction.com, like we were talking about. Because, yeah, every action you take takes courage.
Mm.
I've got a free ebook on there. It's Messages from Spirit. So it's channeled messages from Spirit. It's both written and MP3 messages. That's on my website. So if somebody wants and that will show up right away. They're not sent to email, shows up on the web page right away. And I have a program coming up. It's quite a popular program. It's 33 days of healing. That's what I call it. And so they get 33 days of remote healing. I just send out 30 minutes of healing every day to the group. I also send out messages from Spirit. They're MP3s. I send them out every Wednesday or Monday and Thursday, and they're new. They're brand new. So I create them just for this program. And so they receive them every Monday and Thursday during the 33 days. Plus, I have two Q&A calls. They're 2+ hours each, so over 2 hours each. In the first hour, I work with callers, like on the phone or the web call, and then I take written in questions. So if somebody can't be there and wants to write in their question beforehand, and I just do, like we did very briefly, that very brief clearing or, kind of a little bit before we go, I just identify any, stuck core belief or emotions or patterns, and we clear that, and then we'll follow that for, the stream of consciousness for a few minutes. And then at the end, I do a meditation that's about, 10, 15, 20 minutes and bring it all together. And there's two calls like that. And when somebody signs up for this, when somebody signs up, they immediately get an MP3. And this time it's a money MP3 for receiving money, and it's a chakra balance. It's 60 minutes, so it's a full hour, and that is so powerful. So that's right at the end of the first page. So they scroll right down to the page to the end. It's 33 days of healing, but they will receive, soon as they register, that 60-minute chakra balance for receiving money. And that alone is so powerful. So I want to, and that starts at the end of June, June 29th to July 31st.
Mm, beautiful. Wow. Yeah, you have lots going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have any other exciting plans in the future?
Uh, just taking my dog out for a walk and enjoying the nature and keep working in the program and such. If we have time now, if we've got about 5 minutes, I could do a little group process.
Beautiful. Yes, please. That'd be
Okay.
amazing.
Okay, so this is in the moment, so we'll see what comes up. So yeah, just take a deep breath in, let that life force energy just fill you up as much as you're ready, just very gently. Be gently with yourself, your beautiful self. And as you're ready, let that, the stress of the day, be released. There you go. Okay, there's a little bit of anxiety coming up, so we're going to start there. Yes, anxiety, we see you. Oh, okay. So you've been feeling trapped and the anxiety is ready to be released. Oh, wow. There's a part of you that is so ready to feel free, to live from a place of freedom and uplifting energies and really seize life and enjoy life. But this anxiety has been keeping you stuck. But this energy of anxiety has been feeling trapped. So part of you, whether you've been aware of it or not, has been feeling trapped. Yet what you're really wanting to live is from a place of freedom and lightness, abundance and flow. So, yes, anxiety, we see you. This has been stuck in your first chakra. So, all the purposes that anxiety has been serving up until now, any healing from trauma that the anxiety has been necessary for, any ways in which you have believed that the anxiety has been keeping you safe. Let's acknowledge that an anxiety. It's time for you to be released gently, easily, and effortlessly. And we ask that this anxiety continue to be released as you're ready along your path. Continue just releasing the anxiety. You are ready to let go of the feeling of being trapped and stuck. You are ready to seize more and more of life. You are ready to experience life in a greater way. We feel that within you. There you go. There's some happiness. And there's your child. Your child just showed up. This is a magical child within you that is so ready to support you, the adult, in experiencing life in a greater way. There you go. Any resistance to receiving support, whether from your child, whether from others, any resistance to receiving support in experiencing life in a greater way, living within the higher dimensions, experiencing the freedom of the high and abundance of the higher dimensions. Let's witness any resistance. Just let that resistance go. There you go. And allow yourself to be seen, heard, witnessed, supported, and know that you are safe. You are safe within this beautiful, radiant, light-filled energy field. Just allow yourself to feel safe, inspired, supported, ready to seize life and experience it in a greater way. Know that the divine power and strength is within you. Awakening courage within you. The courage to look fear in the eye and go, okay, fear, it's time to release you. And let the fear be free. Awakening the courage within you. And the fear is diminishing, releasing, letting go. You are ready, so ready to live life in a bigger way and to experience more of life, to experience life in a greater way. That's what you came here for. There you go. Soshoka basa wala sashoko babaka soshoka basa wala ka tukabase babaka soshoka basa wala ka tukabase babaka soshoka basa wala ka awala sa soshoka basa wala ka tukabase babaka soshoka basa wala ka wala sashoko soshoka basa tukabase shoka basa. There you go, my friend. Namaste.
Namaste. Wow. What was that language?
That's light language. That's like the sound of the universe.
Wow.
And everybody speaks it a little bit different. It's like our languages, on Earth, on human languages, even in English, there's many different accents and such.
Mm,
And that's the sound of the universe. So I
mm.
opened up to it a couple years ago, started coming through, and it's called light language. That's what I speak.
Wow, love
So
that.
what it does, it grounds within you a really powerful divine energy. And that's why I like to finish up, something like that with light language, because it's just you've been awakened to the divine energies, and then that really just like centers it and balances it within you and your energy field.
Beautiful that. And you were spot on about the anxiety. Wow, you picked that up really well.
Yeah.
Feeling trapped and wanting to the freedom. Oh, I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Joy. It's been such
So
a pleasure having you on and the value that you've added. Wow, I feel so honored and, so blessed to have you share so much with us. Thank you so much.
thank you for having me on your show, and
Amazing. So, my beautiful listeners, hope you enjoyed the show and hope you managed to tune in to the amazing, 5 minutes that we just had with Joy and her beautiful channeling that she just did with us. And if you do have any questions about the show or about Joy's work, then please do reach out. It's always amazing to hear from you. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. So, yeah, it'd be an absolute honor to kind of connect with you in a more intimate manner. But that's all we have time for today. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I look forward to seeing you in the next show. Take care, my friends.